So which strategies do men commonly use? The negotiations tactics, exchange of benefits, ingratiation, reasoning. They also use coalition and blocking. Apparently, they also use misleading information, which is interesting. They have also been said to use sanctioning, upward appeal, assertiveness, and so forth. One thing that they don't do, they don't use indirect strategies overall. They don't tend to use pleading, begging, and praying. So here's one strategy that men commonly report not to be using in order to influence. So what are women using commonly? Again, not everybody, but commonly. What do they say, the kind of strategies that they use? Negotiation tactics, ingratiation, the indirect stuff they're using, pleading, coalition formation, and there's one thing that they don't do: sanctioning, coercing, upward appeal, and assertiveness. So here is a difference in the kind of strategies that women and men reportedly do. Men, these are the ones that are now crossed over here, the sanctioning and assertiveness. These are also known as the very strong influencing strategies. And apparently, women are less likely to use these strategies. Now, I strongly believe that it has nothing to do with just being a woman, nothing with what is inherently female or whatever. There's nothing good, better, or worse about women or men. It's simply that overall, women, we are used to being not in the power seat, to being in second position. And as we are used to being more in second position, we've learned that it's best not to use the strong, the harsh influencing strategies, because in order to use these, we already need to have power. So for me, the key lesson from these array of influencing strategies is that to be aware that maybe some of the influencing strategies I'm using may be too weak. If I'm unconsciously use too indirect strategies and pleading too much, or even begging, I don't think I'm begging, but pleading too much, then I may be giving signals of me being weak instead of being strong and in control of the situation. And that perhaps I need to start practicing a little of the stronger influencing strategies so that I get used to it, familiar with it, and I'm no longer afraid of when they are being used. That's my take on this. Any comments from your side on these influencing
A
strategies?
very old man, and when I went to
Oh,
a modestly privileged school, and that's the key word, there were no women there. So if you take education in the UK, so people were being conditioned on a daily basis to be confident with power. It was only when I was in the sixth form, 17 and 18, that women were really allowed in that métier. So it goes back to that history of people being conditioned to be comfortable and to look like you own it. And I'm
yeah.
thinking things do change. Things have got a lot better since then, but there's a reality to that. There's a comment from before as we wait for other comments to come in. Is it understanding, or was it the manipulation of male ego? So one of those pieces. So powerful. It is only powerful when displayed in a man's way. That's an interesting comment.
That's an interesting one. But when I observe um, the women I mentioned earlier, like Neelie Kroes and Angela Merkel, they also use these strategies. They are absolutely using sanctioning, coercing,
Yeah,
assertiveness, and they they build their image of being strong.
yeah, yeah.
So it is possible. And the question is, it's not about, are these the right strategies? That certainly depends on the situation. But it's what I've felt for myself and also seen in women is that they are afraid of these strategies, and that they are immediately kind of like rejecting those strategies. Um, and I believe that it's kind of like an extra muscle that is worthy to practice and to strengthen in order to get the full spectrum of influencing strategies.
Exactly.
And if you look at the list that you earlier the notes on the influencing strategies like active listening, empathy, asking for ideas, etc., these are all influencing strategies which have one key feature, and I believe it's a very important feature for the future of work. These are influencing strategies that treat the other person as another autonomous being. The downside of these strong influencing strategies like assertiveness and sanctioning, etc., is that as you are using these more and more and starting to exclusively perhaps using these, apparently what happens is that you're starting to see the other person more and more like an object.
Yeah.
So you're getting farther and farther away from things like empathy, asking for ideas, being interested in understanding. So certainly these strategies must be used with caution, because the inherent danger is that the other person is treated like an object. And I believe that in today's world of social networks, social media, teamwork that is so essential, fluid hierarchies, flat hierarchies, it's essential that we are also strengthening the influencing strategies where the other person is treated like a partner. And so the influencing strategies that you wrote down, Matthew, from what the others said, they all have in common that they're treating the other as an autonomous person with whom we can have a dialogue.
Yeah.
The downside may be that there may be situations when we have to use stronger strategies, and at least we should not be afraid of using them if necessary.
Exactly. It's not the only strategy, but if you have to show it once.
Yes, exactly. So that you're not afraid of them.
Yeah. They know that tool is in your bag.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of other comments coming in. Mothers, we knew we'd go here. Mothers are quite powerful, though, aren't they? So the mother power. Have we got a quick comment on that, Ursula?
Yes. Does that power go beyond the power of the family?
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Does it make me powerful?
Also, there's the historical idea of the boy. So the dependent boy becomes the independent boy and possibly comes back to independence later. And a lot of that separation is anti-female, and that seems to pervade the rest of society for the rest of life when men get together. So to me, it's the separation from the mother bond, the negative aspect of the language and belief about that, which seems to be in perpetuity.
Okay, so that you need to kind of like cut away certain things, because you cut away from that mother bond,
Yeah.
and you then have to play the guy game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I think it's also one of the things that's this kind of conversation. That's why I very much like, that, you as a guy invited, suggested this seminar, is to have the conversation with men about how they experience power, how they experience the power play. As a woman, I can never, see that from the inside, of course. So I will only have projections on what might be going on, and it's much more interesting and valid to hear this from how it's experienced by men. Yeah. One more thing, Matthew, I put another little diagram into this, and many of you may be knowing this already. Timothy Leary, the cocaine, the LSD sniffing psycho shrink from the 50s, who wrote the most bizarre things. So if you type in his name, you find the most bizarre articles that he wrote. But from his practice of psychotherapy, he came up with a diagram that I think is just worth in gold. It's just impressive. He says that whenever we deal with people, whenever we are with two people or more people, immediately we work with social reflexes. And these social reflexes can be understood by just these two diagrams, two axes here. So one goes from top to under. One of the two people in a relationship, at least temporarily, is in an upper position, bringing the other into an under position. And this whole play, top and under, can be played in an against field, so where this is a not warm, a hot, maybe even hostile or cold top and under relationship, and it can be played in a together field where we are accepting the relationship and seeing it as a friendly element. And so if we're coming in a top and under play in the against field, we are attacking, and if we're attacking, the other is immediately defending, and that increases the chances of the other person to be attacking us. Similarly, by being proactive in the together field from top, the other comes in as being receptive, and that strengthens the proactiveness on the one who started. And I'm a bit aware of time now, and I think that many people planned this to be for maybe most 1 hour. So let me just show you this one here. This is how I place the various influencing strategies into this Timothy Leary diagram. And so what you see here, apparently when we look at the together under field here, the indirect, the pleading, begging, praying, that only the women so far have reported using. So here this might be an inherent challenge of female influencing strategies, that by using these strategies, we're giving signals of being in an under position and bringing the other person, actually strengthening the other in being in the upper position. So by showing that we are receptive, the other stays in that top position. So I would suggest let's be careful, aware and careful with using these kind of strategies. We may be giving signals that we don't want to give.